Hello, friend. Pastor Greg here at First Baptist Church of Hogansville. Just wanted to come by and say hello to you today. I'm going to be on podcast 4 mics, 13 teeth, and 1 ankle monitor. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, something else, Google Play, Anchor, several others. YouTube's 4 mics, 13 teeth, 1 ankle monitor. Just want to come by and say hello to you today. We got a very special guest today. I haven't been with you in a few minutes. I want to introduce you to my bride, this Miss Amy Lynn.
Hi.
We want to come by and talk to you today. Now, this is Miss Amy Lynn don't talk in front of nobody.
No.
Now, she can preach because she gives me a lot of sermons during the week. Don't do that. Don't mess up them pillows. Don't mess around with them towels. But we're going to talk about something today. We're going to talk about divorce. Now, not because we're getting one. We're talking divorce because she's been divorced. I've been divorced. She was divorced for
14 years?
14 years.
14 years.
How long was you divorced?
14 years.
14 years. And I was divorced 2 years. And so we're going to talk about something. Brother Bill Dollar, he's running point for us today. And so you may see him pop in on the sun. But we want to talk about divorce in real life. A lot of times, I know this is a podcast given over to help people and families that are involved with addiction and things of that nature. We understand that. But not everybody listening to this podcast is facing some type of addiction in their life. Some people are facing struggles in their marriage, struggles with their finances, struggles with that. So Brother Bill, in his heart and mind, wanted to kind of diversify a little bit. So I said, you know what? They are people that get divorced, lose their mind, and go off the deep end, well, so to speak. Then there are people that get divorced, heartbroken, but persevere and obey the Lord, and God brings them through that. Amy Lynn is one of them. So we're going to talk about that today, and I'm going to interview her. We have been married for...
Going on 8 months.
I sure am glad you stepped in because I was drawing a bad blank.
You didn't want to get in trouble.
I didn't want to. I have been her pastor for 15 years.
Yes.
And so I've watched her grow into the lady she is, and I saw her. She has 2 kids.
Yes.
Tyler is 25, Molly is 21. I watched both these kids. Which one did I baptize? I baptized one of them.
You baptized Molly.
Yeah, it didn't take. But no, baptized Molly. And I have 3 kids. One's with the Lord, and I have 2. She has watched my kids grow up. Yes. So we're going to talk. If you contemplate getting a divorce, let me ask you to do something if you can. Now, I'm not talking about, as a pastor, I've been a pastor for almost 20 years. I have never recommended anybody get divorced. I have recommended many people separate because there's some physical abuse, drug addiction, things of that nature. But if you contemplate getting divorced, let me ask you to do one thing for me. Put it off a little while, and at least sit down and listen to us. And we're not armchair theologians. Yeah. We're people that have been in the dregs of it. We've been in the lawyers' offices. We've been in the counselors' offices. We've heard she's not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm the pastor of a church. You know what kind of stigma comes on a pastor when he gets divorced? There are some people say you disqualify being a pastor. That different interpretations of scriptures and things like that. But that's not. We're not going to talk about any of that. We're going to talk about real life stuff. People that are facing divorce. People that are divorced and having a tough time. So we're just going to talk like you was at our kitchen table. If you was at our house right now and was sitting at our kitchen table. Well, I don't guess you could, because I've turned our kitchen table into a school desk.
Yes, you have.
One side of it, Amy Lynn does her Bible devotions every morning. Yeah. The other side of it, I have school books everywhere, and it's about half the size. It's just about the size of half this table. So, you pray for me, and you pray for Miss Amy Lynn. She's being gracious to me because I just tear stuff up. That's what I do.
Yes.
And fuss about why I can't find my little Debbie cakes. But so let's talk about divorce. Anything you want to say before we get started?
Not that I can think of this moment.
I understand. All right. So divorce and remarriage. When you got divorced, you was divorced. Tell me one more time.
I was divorced for 14 years.
14 years. Mm-hmm. Was you interested in getting remarried right at the...
No.
No. That made me feel real good.
Sorry.
No, so but right, but that's a danger people get into. You jump out of something, and you look at me. It's okay. You jump out of something, and get for the other, and that's tough. But it's like addiction. Brother Bill tells us all the time that people get out of one addiction, they jump in another one. Now, one addiction may be illegal, and the other one may be not, but it's still hurtful. Sometimes when your heart, well, not sometimes, all the time, when your heart's been ripped apart, and that's what divorce does. Yes. You've got to heal. And sometimes loneliness is a precursor to healing or part of the healing process. Learn how to be alone. And would you say that's right? Did you have to learn how to be alone?
Yes, I did, because I went straight from living with my parents to being married. So I never had lived alone. Oh,
so far as just being functioning adult, you was living with your mom and daddy, and then you immediately got married and then got through divorce. So you was on your own for your first time, so to speak.
Yes, first time ever.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty tough, because I was on my own at 17. I was had my own place.
Now, not only was I on my own, but I had 2 young children.
Now, how old were your kids?
Oh gosh, let's see. They both were elementary school. Molly was 4.
She hadn't started school yet.
Yeah,
pre-K?
She was in pre-K.
Okay, I understand.
And Tyler's 4 years older than her, so he was,
8, 7, 8.
8, 9.
You got 2 great kids, and smart, and I love them to death.
Bless him.
Yeah. So let's talk about how we felt. Now, coming from my point of view, you kind of feel unwanted. Would you say that was true?
Yeah.
You kind of get, I don't know the right way to say this, but you kind of get a third wheel syndrome, maybe a fifth wheel syndrome. 3's company, 4's a crowd, whatever they call it. Mm-hmm. Did you feel that way?
Oh, yeah.
People would call you and say, hey, let's go out to eat. And you didn't have any money.
And most of the time it's always couples.
That's right.
Ask you.
That's right. So you go with them, you think, okay, I'm way out of line here. Yeah. This ain't me. Now, nobody makes you feel. They're not intentions.
No. Mm-mm. It's just you're yourself.
Sure.
You feel that way.
The intentions aren't to make you feel bad. I went to Hawaii with a great couple of people that I love like I love my own family. But I got over there, and I think a little bit was jet lag, but I got over there and I thought, you're depressed. I'm in Waikiki. I mean, trust me, there's a lot of places, worse place to be than Waikiki. But you start thinking, I didn't see Tom Selleck, didn't see Magnum, but I thought to myself, something's wrong. And I looking back and just trying to get things squared away, I finally understood that felt like I was a third wheel, thousands of miles away. Yeah. And so I know what you mean. So what did you do to combat that?
To combat that?
Yeah. Did you keep going out to eat?
Yeah. I mean, I still went, if I wanted to go.
Because you had your 2 kids. I didn't have any kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because most of my focus was on my kids.
That's right.
Because they were young and they kept me busy.
So, if you've been divorced, you know what I'm talking about. Your world is a certain way. Get up, you got a spouse, a husband, a wife, wherever you find yourself. You got kids or don't have kids, but your world is a certain pattern. And all of a sudden, that entire pattern's flipped upside down.
Yeah.
You don't know, maybe you had to move out of your house, maybe you didn't, I don't know, but the norm as you knew it is not there anymore, and you have a new norm. How did you adjust to the new norm?
Well, honestly, in my situation, there wasn't a lot of adjusting because my ex-husband, he worked a lot. He owned his own business,
sure.
So it was just the kids and I, a lot by ourselves doing things and stuff like that because he had to work a lot. But so it wasn't. It was a big adjustment, but it wasn't. I don't know. It's hard to say. For some people who
you kept the house and everything.
Yeah, for the most part,
I understand. Yeah. Now, what did you do? And this is probably more important than anything else because you've said it 3 or 4 times. Your main focus was the kids. Yes. Let's talk about that. That's very important.
Yes.
What were some of the things you did in your kids' life in respect to your ex-husband? To kind of protect their mind and heart?
Well, I mean, you do the best you can, and I tried my best not to badmouth or say anything about them in front of the kids. I think that's one of the worst things you can do.
What if the kids come in badmouthing?
Well, that's that's still your dad or your mom.
I understand.
And you need to respect them because that's what God says we need to do.
Right.
And, we may not like what they're doing, but you still need to respect them because that's your dad or your mother.
So really because you're the only person that can do that. Because
Yes.
in your mind, it makes you feel good that they're bad-mouthing him.
Yeah.
And you think.
There's a little part of you that, yeah,
he is sorry. Really, he is pathetic. Yeah, that's right. I understand.
She is terrible. So,
So as far as your kids, we'll talk about that in just a minute. Did you feel neglected?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. And you feel neglected. You feel shame
Mm-hmm.
because you feel shame for being divorced because, I think with at least most people, hopefully, when they get married and they say those vows, they mean them and they don't get married to get divorced.
That's right. Unless there's some money involved.
Yeah.
They worth $100 million. I'm going to get mine. So you felt embarrassed?
Yes.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah,
I felt ashamed, embarrassed, unwanted. And that's tough. What did you do to overcome that?
Basically, I just pressed into God.
I understand.
He kept me going. There were many, many a times that, you feel alone, but crying out to Him, and He took that loneliness away.
Sure. Well, thank God.
He would let me know He was there.
Did you lose some friends? Because I lost some.
Yeah, honestly, I don't
No,
really think
of course, it's been
lost.
14 years.
Yeah, but even back then, I don't really feel like I lost any friends. I don't think he lost any friends. At least I hope not. I mean, even with family, his family, I still talk to them, and if he sees my family, he still talks to them.
Right.
So.
And let me add one thing in here. I had a teenage daughter. My youngest daughter now is 18 at this point. She was about 16. And I didn't know what to do. There was some stress and strife, as there always is when people are going to. I didn't know what to do. So I went and talked to one of my counselors. And let me say this. The best thing I can encourage you is get you some godly friends. I'm not talking about church friends. I'm talking about godly friends. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
I'm not talking about people just going to hug your necks. Oh, what was meant. Godly friends are going to speak life into you and peace into you. And stand up for Jesus Christ in your life when nobody else will. So I needed some help with my daughter. So one of my counselors said, find you some Christian women that have been through divorce that can help you, that you'll just bounce ideas off of them. Okay. So I didn't find anybody my age. Because last thing, I'm a pastor. I'm a divorce pastor. You don't need to be calling women and say, oh, yeah, you got divorced. How's things going? But I knew Amy Lynn was very godly and trained her kids up in the nurture and admonition, Lord. So I just called her one. I said, listen, here's what's going on. Please don't think anything simple about this. I need some help. And that's how this started. One day I called her, told her to come off, asked her to come off one Wednesday. And we was talking about something was going on with one of my kids. And I said, did the same thing went on with your kids? She said, yeah. And I said, tell me what you do. And that's what she just said. Said she was sitting on her couch, didn't have anywhere else to turn. I don't know if you remember this or not.
Yes, I do.
And you said exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Said you cried out to God, and that's the only thing you knew to do. When she said that, God put a check in my heart. Now, I don't know really what that check was, but she became more than just a church member then. I was divorced, been divorced for a long time. And I thought to myself, wonder if Amy Lynn can cook. But so I started there. So I just want you to know how this started. I was trying to get some help, and so it just grew from there. Thank God for that, because I had lost some friends, and you just you don't know who to trust. You could start thinking, well, can I tell these people something? Go to church if you're a member of a church. Go talk to your pastor. Tell him what's going on, and he'll be able to point you in the right direction. All right, so now we just went through how we felt during the divorce. And go ahead.
I will add that you were saying, if you don't have a church, find you a church, because my church family, not only my family, but my church family was, they were a lot of help to me during that time. They really were.
Because you become a single parent.
Oh, yeah.
Logistically, you may need somebody to help you out and get the kids from school or something one day. So, yeah.
Well, not just that.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Just the support.
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with
Godly
godly
people,
friends,
yeah.
godly people.
Sometimes the help we get don't come in somebody thumping the Bible at us. Sometimes they picking the kids up from school or eating dinner with us one night with their kids and just being there with you.
Giving you a word of encouragement.
That's right. That's right. Because when you got your teeth kicked in and your marriage has failed and you're embarrassed and you're seeing these people, you wonder what they're thinking, and it just gets kind of bad. So you thank God that you got people. I surrounded myself with 5 people I call my inner circle. And these were people that I absolutely confided in. Nobody at any one time listened to me complain about my wife. And I stopped after about 2 months because God spoke this to him. He said, Greg, if you're always defending yourself, I can't. You need to shut up. So I shut up.
True.
But now when I was wanting to cry and talk about how my heart was broken, everybody listened to me. But I just had to get out of this point that I was going to tell everybody how bad I was treated. So let's talk about this. What did you do during your divorce? Because believe it or not, you will get through this.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's not nothing you want to hear and you want to get your family back together, and we hope all that works out. But if it don't, I want to give you a word of encouragement. You will be okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this.
And there's going to be times that you'll be okay, but then later on something may hit. It's almost like a death. I was told a divorce is like a death.
It is, right.
It's just worse because you still keep seeing the person.
Sure. Was you open to reconciliation?
Yeah, at first.
Sure,
yeah.
sure. And you always hope for the best, I suppose.
You always hope that it can work out. But, sometimes it's just not meant to be, I think.
I understand. How did you treat your children's parent, your ex-husband about you talked about this a minute ago, just don't badmouth them and do your best not let them badmouth them.
Yeah. And do your best to, there may be times you have to bite your tongue, but do your best to have the best kind of relationship that you can have with them and as friendly as possible for the kids. You
still have a great relationship with your ex-mother-in-law.
Yes.
She's a sweet lady. Yeah.
Yes, she is. She's a good, godly lady.
Coincidentally, I was this whole family's pastor for a long time. You say I've done a great job. But, so how did the divorce, I guess this is the most important out of everything we've talked about, how did the divorce affect your relationship with the Lord?
Well, I think it drew me a little closer to Him. It drew me closer to Him. But, there were times that,
Was you angry at Him?
At times,
Sure.
And you say, why me? I think that's with any situation sometimes. And then you, as time goes on and you see other people that are in those situations and, and they move on quickly, it's just like with anything else. It's like for me, I didn't get remarried till 14 years later. But it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
But you were right in what you said. You do need to give yourself time. Yeah. And not jump straight into another relationship.
Now, let me say something to you. There's a preacher, his wife, his sister-in-law, was married for about 2 years. The man broke her heart. I don't know what happened. It was a terrible situation. About 2 years later, she met a man. They got engaged. They stayed engaged for 36 years. Listen to me carefully. There comes a time where by God's grace and mercy, you've been healed up. It's okay to move on. It really is. Don't do it fast, like Amy Lynn's saying. Don't do it fast. Don't jump the gun. If you're lonely, go bowling or call a friend. Yeah. And because here's the thing. If you don't let God work on your heart, you'll keep picking the same things. Maybe you picked the good one and the good one went bad. Things happen. People make a decision to walk away from the Lord. But the main thing is what she just said. When a divorce happened, it is like a death. You've had a death to a life, death to a relationship. At those points, whatever, maybe it's not divorce, maybe you've just buried a loved one. You have to press into Jesus Christ because you're going to get angry. That is a part of grieving.
Yes.
And you can be mad at God. It's okay. Get mad at Him. Tell him how you think. I promise you this. If you spend 30 minutes telling God how bad you feel, you'll quit telling everybody else how bad you feel. Because He's calling you into His presence. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So I can tell you from my perspective, I can tell you from her perspective, I can tell you from years of pastoring People do some dumb things when they get divorced. As a matter of fact, the truth be known before the Lord, Amy Lynn is the exception to the rule, not the rule, because most people go off the deep end and want to do silly things and sinful things. Well, I did right. I was a faithful wife. I was a faithful husband. I can do my own thing now. No, you can't. Remember, you're still a parent, or you're still a child of God, either one. And by the way, this is one thing I tried to tell myself, and maybe you did too. My kids are watching me.
Yes.
I've been trying to push them to the Lord all these years. Well, now the rubber's meeting the road. Now we're going to see, Dad, is what you said true.
Yes.
And my whole thing was I just want to make sure by God's grace that I didn't bring any dishonor to the Lord. Terrible husband? Probably. But I didn't want to be a terrible divorcee where the whole world caves in. So the most important thing, like she just said, we talked about divorce or relationship with God. It's going to do one of two things. He's going to draw you into his presence, or you're going to push him away. Have you seen people do both?
Yes.
Yeah. Because everybody knows somebody's got divorced.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an accepted evil practice. Let me encourage you again. If you're not divorced but you're thinking about it, please think long. Please think long and hard. If there's some physical abuse, drug, whatever, if you feel in danger, move out. And if it don't work out, get divorced. But if you just divorce because of irreconcilable differences, Rick Warren said this, best thing we can do is grow up. And sometimes we got to. Sometimes we just have to become more. Not preaching at you. I just want to tell you, I love you. Amy Lynn loves you. This is the first time you ever did a podcast?
Oh, this is the first time I've been on camera.
Is that right?
Yes.
Well, see, most people in here, we've been on them police cameras.
Yeah.
But this is my wife. We've been married for 8 months, going on 8 months. And just listen to me. You're going to get through this.
Yeah.
Divorce is terrible. And I would beg of you, please, not if you're in any danger, but at least think about it. If there's some infidelity going through, please get some counseling. Always get some counseling. Go to church. And anything you'd like to say before we sign off?
No, I think that's about it, really. I mean, pressing into the Lord and to just know that there are going to be some tough times. There are going to be some very lonely times. And that's the time you need to call out to him, because just like in your sermon this morning, he's the only one that can give you that peace.
Yep. So, amen. So, once again, this is Pastor Greg. This is Amy Lynn. Miss Amy Lynn Morris, and we love you. We thank God for you. And once again, this is 4 mics, 13 teeth, 1 ankle monitor, the podcast ministry of First Baptist Church of Hogansville. Brother Bill Dollar is running point for us today. Brother Bill, anything you want to come in and say?
No, that's all right.
All right. We love you. Come visit with us sometime.
Yeah.
Please. I promise you this, you'll find a collection of believers here that just trying to do the best we can. Sunday, something, ma'am?
I said amen.
Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock breakfast, 10 o'clock Sunday school, 11 o'clock's preaching hour. And we'll do what we can to introduce you to the lovely Lord Jesus. If you've been hurt, he's the balm of Gilead. He's the lily of the valley. He's the bright morning star. Yes, ma'am.
And I was just going to say, we also have our women's thing on Tuesday nights.
I beg your pardon.
And our men's group on Tuesday nights, 6 o'clock.
She's absolutely right. I always seem to forget Tuesday night. At 6 o'clock, we have women's ministry, men's ministry. They're Bible studies, but they minister to each other. Wednesday night, we have children and an auditorium Bible class at 6:30. Yes. We love you and thank God for you.
God bless.
Look us up. God bless you.